Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF, and on today's episode I've got the great pleasure of covering some more stuff from Macaloneys, and this is a Canadian whiskey. That's pretty cool. I don't get to try much Canadian whiskey on the channel. Not a lot of really great Canadian whiskey makes it out of their borders, I've noticed. You can get some stuff, of course, but we do tend to pay a little bit of a premium on it. Now, I did cover these guys a little while ago when I did a sample set of theirs, and I was pretty impressed by that stuff. So being able to try a full bottle of theirs from one of their new releases is pretty good. And I will say at the top of the show, those guys via Barrel and Brand have sent this over to me for review, so make sure you go and check out the links below if you want to pick up this up, because it's available in the UK, which I think is pretty nice. But we'll get into all of that a little bit later on. Today then, we've got the Macaloneys Island Distillery, and this is the Peat Project. Lots of names on this. I've got the box here as well to give me a hand on it. It's the Peat Project Single Cask Series Peated Single Malt Whiskey, Distillery Smoked, Sugar Kelp Infused Peat, Portuguese Red Wine STR Barrique. But you could pretty much just say Sugar Kelp, STR, Single Cask. Which, all good things, right? I've been able to try a few interesting ideas on whiskey and peat and sea kind of smoke and brine and whatnot, so being able to try something like this is pretty cool. As I mentioned, single cask as well, which is awesome. It's 46%, and if you want to know some of the gory details, we've got a ppm of 54 parts per million phenols. It's cask number 456, and that's important because looking on Whiskey Base and whatnot, there's a few different casks of this knocking around now, so if you're going to buy this off the back of my review, there might be some slight batch variation. Can't say for sure, but obviously that's the nature of single cask whiskey. And what I have here is bottle number 5 of 355, so it's pretty cool. You get a numbered bottle, bottled on I guess June 2024, which is awesome. No word on the distilled date, so I don't know exactly how old this is, but that's not too much of a bother. Non-chill filtered, natural coloured, and roughly 68 quid in the UK, which I have to say I don't think is that bad, but we'll get into value and whatnot a little bit later on. Now, as I mentioned, this is STR cask, so they're using that kind of Jim Swan method of getting some Portuguese red wine casks, shaved, toasted, rechar, that sort of stuff. Very common these days. Makes young whiskey taste great, which I'm there for. I'm there for that. I'm a huge fan of STR cask stuff. The peat. Now this is the interesting thing. Obviously, this is made in Canada, in Vancouver Island. So I guess peat isn't that common there because, well, for one, they've collaborated with some companies down in the US, down in Washington State, and they provide the peat, and then the sugar kelp seaweed is harvested in British Columbia. So it's kind of a collaboration between US, Canadian, state, whatever, blah blah blah. All good stuff. I'm enjoying that. Nice and interesting things going on. So, an interesting bottle, I think, and the fact that it's even over here speaks volumes into what these guys are doing. I remember when I did the sample Saturday of it, which I'll put a link in below if you want to go and check out my views on the rest of their stuff. Really interesting stuff. They're making whiskey really well, I will say, because there are some people out there that make whiskey really cheap so that they can get the maximum value out of it. These guys seem to really know what they're doing, and they're putting a lot of effort into quality. And they're putting a lot of effort into getting their whiskey out into the world as well, which I'm there for. Anyway, that's quite a lot of whittering on. Let's get into the actual whiskey and see what we got. As I mentioned, we've got a definite no added colour in this, so I don't mind talking about the colour. Really nice, kind of deep copper, light mahogany kind of, just a great colour. Let's get onto the nose. Now, the first thing I'm struck about this is, although we're talking about a peated whiskey here, to me anyway, it's quite light on the peat, which is only a good thing. It's very accessible. It's definitely there, kind of a smoky earthiness to it, but there's a sweetness to it as well, floral aspect, which I'm really enjoying. Bags of sea air as well, bags of it. Really lovely. Let's try on the palate. Now for me, I think this is where this whiskey wins out. Nose is really nice and inviting. The palate, the peat and the smoke ramp up just ever so slightly, so when it was a bit understated on the nose, it's definitely not on the palate. I get a huge waft of smoke, but also it's got that like earthiness to it, that kind of, you know, briny. It's one of the things I like to do is liken peat to the stages of a bonfire. This is towards the back end of it, you know. This is like waking up in the middle of the night when the embers are still going, but the heat and the flames have gone down. It's still warm, but it's kicking out some smoke now, and it's getting a bit kind of dirty and acrid almost. And those are negative words, but not in this case here. Really lovely. I love a good dirty, good peat. But mixed in with that, you're getting that fruitiness from the SDR cask. You're getting some nice sweetness coming through, and some herbal elements coming through as well, which I'm really enjoying. Kind of like tea leaves, a little bit more floral as well. Really, really enjoying this. This is absolutely right up my street. I love a sweet and a peat mixed together, and I'm getting that in spades here. All wrapped up in a bottle that's about 68 quid in the UK, which for me is absolutely bang on. You know, it's, like I said at the start of the show, it's incredibly difficult for me to get hold of great quality Canadian whiskey for a reasonable price. For me, highly recommended. Go into the links below and check out some of the bottles they've got. This is just one of many bottles that they've got. So if you want to try something that's a little bit cheaper, then you can. There are some other options, but for a single cask whiskey, peated, sweet, I'm there for it. Very happy with that, and I think you would be too. If you're a fan of peat, I don't think this is anything other than a no-brainer. So I'll say cheers to you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on more videos.